Thank you, Dr. Bhattacharya. So we heard interesting remarks from the 5 panelists here. Now we have 10 minutes left for the session. I thought we'll take some questions from the audience. Any questions, comments, suggestions, please? Shall we, Mike?
I think the industry focus into research R&D, what Mr. Unnikrishnan shared, which is, I mean, at individual level, at that small pocket level is applauded. I'm not sure whether that understanding of the value of things like patent, forget about even business value of patent, is understood by many small, medium, and even many large companies, and leave alone how to go about then patenting it. I mean, so my experience working in IT industry, and I'm now mentoring some small companies, people are doing some innovative work, and some of the work is patentable, but both the things, they don't know the value. I mean, the leadership does not know the value, and perhaps those who are doing the work don't know that, and sometimes they say, what, can this be a patentable item? So my question is that could academia and researchers, particularly likes of yours, could play a role in creating that awareness? And perhaps that might be a opportunity for like how US has achieved, by creating IP and creating patent, and perhaps they've made more money, but for the same kind of, maybe not perceived that way, but if same kind of work may be happening or a part of that work happening in India, and maybe they can also start raising in the value creation. So just a thought that came out, that is there a role which IITs and Professor Chandrasekhar in your leadership positions, etc., can give some thoughts to whether it's possible?
Yeah, it's possible. There are already existing, there are facilities like in CSIR system. There are already headquarters has a facility to create patents, and they create help write patents, apply patents, not only from the CSIR institutions, also from elsewhere, other academic institutions. This possibility is there. DST has also a cell now, where anybody who has a patentable material needs help. We will help you to write the patents, apply the patents, and if possible the patent is good, we will support the patents. There's already a mechanism existing in the DST. And
perhaps most people don't know.
Yeah.
So maybe the awareness is not there.
Okay. So
that this is a little bit of creating awareness that this is, and awareness with the business value, and then support. Maybe there's a lot of hand-holding initially, few years may trigger that, and then that would spread.
Yeah.
But I think that if I ask people, have you got any patent? No. All right. Is there anything which is patentable? And generally you get blank. And some of these I find that they are doing some innovative work.
Exactly. See, this is the problem we are seeing. Many scientists in academic institutions are happy in getting a good publication rather than a patent. Even though the value, the material is having a patent value, they don't realize that. So the institution's head has to sort of take an active part in saying that if there is a material which is patentable, go for a patent before you publish it. But the academics always think that a paper in Nature is better than a paper having a patent which has a commercial value. This has to be sort of improved in the country, and the leadership of the concerned institution should really take that role.
No, I think that you're right. That sort of awareness has to be built up during their studies itself. That is, students must be aware of, and many of the institutions do have programs which expose students to what are patents, how to write them, and many of them also have legal, lawyers coming, patent lawyers coming who they can talk to and so forth and file their patents. So I think awareness and education is the key thing. That there are many support systems, and actually it doesn't cost much if you want to patent in India. At IIT Bombay, one of the things that we do is we have a system by which every MTech thesis that is, because the MTech is completed at a particular time of the year. So before those theses are put into library, there is a, screening done of every thesis to check if there are any patentable ideas. And that is, if the faculty have missed it, then some experts go through it and check. And yeah, it always yields, 10, 20 patents through just this one search every year.
Sir, I wanted to ask you one question. I've seen in University of Colorado, the way they do it, they have technology transfer centers within the university, where there are experts who on a regular basis, they interact with faculty, they talk to them and they try to understand what their research is all about, and then they give the idea. So he's very right that they are not even aware that they have an idea which is patentable. So maybe in institutes like, maybe IITs or NITs, you could have such technology transfer centers where you have professionals who are working on a regular basis and sustained basis.
We do have that.
You do have that.
System also has that.
We have, just over the decade, we have, transferred more than 100 technologies. So, this is a regular process. And even now, we get annual, licensing income, which is quite small, about 12 crores a year, but it's not zero. So there is this process is going on.
One thing, sir, I was specifically addressing your question on that. The medium and small scale industries, they may not be aware of. There are patentable ideas or practices which they are creating, and how do we make it known, and can academia help us, the kind of question you asked. I think that is yet to be evolving. But only one other side of the story is, patent writing is not an easy task. And if a person who's created it or the set of people who created it were to be approaching an external agency to do that, like an academic institute, if they're not involved in the creation of that, it can be dangerous also. Patent also means you're revealing what you're doing. So patent, when you apply for, imagine that if I got one shape or a size which is what I'm going to be utilizing, I got to surround the patent with maybe another 3 or 4 of them to ensure that whatever could be created by a competition tomorrow is also, I have brick-walled it. So it's an art to write a patent. So it has to be a right relationship between the company, that small company, and the large institute also to do. Point number 1. Getting a patent is easy, in my opinion, going forward. But defending a patent and finding out who is infringing on your IPR, it will cost a lot of money. And you need to have a size, spread, reach, and kind of an intelligence to retain that. And if there is a violation done in some country, you need to have the muscle power, financial muscle power, and the legal power to defend it also. Otherwise, you can convert a patent into a trade secret. So the better solution for those who do not have the muscle power is to have trade secrets than having a patent. And India has got to also grow in size as economic power, where we can fight, because unfortunately in the legal system outside, imagine if there is a violation done of your patent in China. Americans won't so easily do that. A Chinese can do it. What will you do with that? Can you win a case in that country? So, legal system has got to be also. So, one has to be very careful when you go along with that. I would say it's evolving, but it's the right time to have the thinking in the minds of people who run the government, and maybe it has to germinate in the minds now. That as we are growing, how we are going to have it spread, who will file the patent. Patent offices can be, like China, it's not that the companies are filing those numbers that you've seen. It is propounded by the government, a good number of them. And they also are guaranteeing to them, they are teaching them how to write it. And if you go to design institute over there, which is there in every province, couple of them are there, depending upon the subject that you're coming with, then there is a center of excellence, a patent set of experts sitting over there. They will write it for you to defend it, and then file it, and to become a Chinese patent, but holder is somebody. So I agree with you that maybe time for professors have to think about it, IITs to think about it. How do you pollinate it across?
Slightly related topic. In the recent times, we have witnessed quantum jump in interest of bright BTech students to go ahead with startups to start with. I would say that that's a very positive sign. Without going for very high-fi lucrative jobs, their commitment, and that too for the brightest of the bright students. I think that's I just wanted to share.
I would just like to add that, compared to what it was, say, a decade back, patent awareness certainly is something that has gone up in institutes, universities as well. We have these young investigator meetings from time to time, and I see lots of young investigators who want to come and rather than publishing, which is the norm scientifically going forward, they want to patent. So there is this new mantra that is, publish, patent or perish, rather than just publish and perish. So I think the awareness is coming in slowly, and I think DST has really got a big role in how the awareness is created among the institutes that it heads. Of course, the IITs have their own, and the University of Hyderabad is a great example of how they do their patenting, and they hire, like the IITs, they hire companies. There's a company called Intellectual Ventures, I think, which sits through each individual researcher's work and finds out if it's patentable or not, or just publishable. So I think there is headway, but of course there's lots to be done.
We have time for
Just a
one
quick,
last question.
Sorry, on that point you mentioned about this 50-50 partnership. Perhaps part of that fund could be used in helping company identify those researchable projects. That might, because initially somebody may not be even interested, but if you offer that, okay, here is some funds available to investigate into you and your company and what are the potential, and maybe some of that can be offered free to some companies as a starting point. Because my concern, having experience on this 50-50 in IBM research, sometimes that budget may be channeled toward doing work on some project, and more demanding and more opportunity type of project may be missed out.
Yeah.
So because that project exists, opportunity exists, somebody might lead you and lead this fund to a project which may be part of 20% important, but 80% may not even exist, or may not be aware that you could help them. I don't know what your thoughts are.
This is an excellent question. This is where I need the help of CIA and Shalini to sort of identify the industries which are in need, which are ready to invest. And then, as you said, the initial investment, if they want, we can do that as this thing. But we need your help in identifying the industries which are interested in these particular schemes, where they can come up, write a proposal, identify an academic who can solve their problem and come to us. We are happy to do that. This thing. Actually, I'll talk to you on that. This thing. We need to take the help of CII to really, if the scheme has to succeed. This thing. Any other questions? Last one more question. Yeah. Valluri? Yeah.
You're audible otherwise also. You're otherwise normally inaudible.
Yeah, this is a comment more than a question, and I just want to leave it to the panelists. And the more I look at it, if you look at the developed world and us, the way we have developed our markets in India have been more product based. We've taken a product from the West and we have actually driven it and created markets. I think we've done little work in terms of a market-based innovation product development in the country. I mean, whether it's engineering, non-engineering, wherever it is, whether it's been a mobile phone or a television or whatever it is, we've taken technologies and we've said, yeah, this is good for the market, let's actually put it in. Maybe between the government, whether it's DST, whether it's CII, we need to flip this model a little differently, I think, and including the educational institutes. How do we define for a country like India which markets we need to focus on? And it could become actually a little directive. And we might say that here are the 5-6 segments in this country where we really need to focus on in terms of bringing up the society, and our research innovation has got to go towards that. And maybe education institutes need to say, okay, we will join together in this area and then look at multiple technologies and domains that need to be developed. Because if you look at the West, if I look at the US or Germany or wherever it is, it tends to be more of what the market needs and you tend to kind of do it. Of course, there's always this oddball thing of some bright innovation comes and people start creating markets around it. But I think if we are in the state where we really need to improve the societal living standards, we may need to define 5, 6 really broad areas which educational institutes rally around, which the government rallies around, and the industry rallies around and says, okay, let's actually put all our shoulders together to drive innovation in those areas. And I think it'll actually come the best out of the government actually making it a little directive, saying, if you do research in pollution, if you do research in water, we will actually give you funding, and this is actually linked to that. And then I think you will see multiple technologies and innovations coming out in that specific area. Whether it's an IIT or an NIT or a regional college or whatever it is, I think that may be one way to drive more research, more patents, more application development, slightly, away from the do it all, whatever you want, do it, get the industry to participate, we'll fund industry plus, a feel-good thing, and you're not actually creating economic value there. Just a thought.
Yeah, I'm happy that you raised this question. We had at DST level, we had a discussion, and we have identified one of the manufacturing is one of the area where we want to support it. And pharma in India is doing very well. Pharma industry, we would like to heart of this thing. And materials is other area which we are thinking about that. These three we have identified, looking for partners so that we can really take these schemes further to a large scale production.
Funding with that, and say, funding is specifically for this.
Exactly.
Then I think industry would also kind of take a look at it, how to find it.
All right, I think this is the right time to wind up. We had an interesting discussion on the topic. Many suggestions came from the panelists and the audience. And the take-home message is that unless the academia and the industry join hands and work together, we can't make an impact. So I wish that we'll have more interactions like this where we can come hold hands and make an impact on the country. Thank you very much for your time and attention.